What's up gang, welcome back to another video. In this one I want to break down and show you how to make a bouncy trap beat. In the context you will learn certain techniques using FL Studio stock features and plugins to make loops and samples that you might want to use in your projects your own. Because there are lots of people that might have access to the same sounds and sample packs as you do. But if you learn how to make them your own, that's not going to be a problem and you can start using them more often. That's not to say you should build your entire project around loops and samples and never learn how to make your own melodies or sounds. But if you find something that works and you want to use it, at least make it your own. Let's take a listen to about a minute of the final result and then get into breaking it down. Okay, let's break it down and find out how we got to this point. This beat was made for a specific purpose to demonstrate specific techniques in FL Studio and in regards to FL Cloud. And so the main melody that I'm using in the beat is a loop from FL Cloud that sounds like this. The main purpose of making this beat in the first place was to demonstrate how you can take a loop or sample and make it your own using only FL Studio stock plugins and features. So the original loop, which is down here, was in the key of D minor and 130 BPM, which you can see down here. That loop turned into this. And I'm going to show you what I did to it from scratch and the plugins I've used to make the sound that you just heard. So here's the original loop downloaded from FL Cloud. When you want to listen or download any sounds from FL Cloud, if you check this button, sync BPM down here, you will get this BPM match to the project tempo. We want the mode of the sample to be on stretch so that when the BPM is changing, you don't get a change in pitch. The pitch stays the same, which was D minor originally. The first thing that I did was pitching it 100 cents up, and now it's in D sharp minor or E flat minor. From there I send it to a mixer channel, number 7. We're gonna turn everything off and start one by one. The first plugin is Grow Speed. Inside Grow Speed you navigate to presets and momentary. Here I chose slow triplet, which gives us this. And I also chose 2-beat gate from the volume presets down here, added some attack, some release, and I also brought the volume down a little to make it smoother. The next plugin I use is Transporter. I set the mode to adaptive in here, added some reverse, blended my loop A and loop B, which are the loops that the plugin takes from the original sound, the original loop, and now we have this. You can hear those extra bits in reverse in between the chops. From there, we went to another Grow Speed, but this time we're using basic 10 on the original default preset up here in time to get that tape stop bend in the middle of the melody. Next, even though I almost never use the stock EQ plugin for my EQs, we're using it this time, parametric EQ2, to just get some low mid out around 270 Hz, and also a low cut up to around 140. And lastly, a third-party plugin. This was actually added after I made the video I wanted to make for FL Studio stock features and plugins. This was to add a little bit of extra effects to it. So we got another high pass, some low pass, 30% on dimension knob, a little bit motion, plenty of heat to add some saturation, ensemble, a little bit on clarity, which adds some presence and clarity, and most importantly, this wobble, which is almost on 50%. The consolidated version of that original melody was turned into this little stem. And a duplicated version of this melody was pitched 1 octave down to get this for the intro. If you want to subscribe to FL Cloud and have access to all these sounds and features for yourself, use the link in the description. You will get some extra discount, and you will also support the channel at no extra cost to you, as I earn a small percentage from it. Now let's go check out the drums before moving on to the 808. I generally spend a lot of time picking my drum sounds, especially kick and snare. For the kick, I always check it with the 808. I pick them in a way that they work well together without me having to do a lot of crazy processing. If with only volume balance and one sidechain plugin, you're getting a very good balanced sound that works well together, you know that you picked the right sounds. Here is our drums on their own. My kick is, I believe, from a decap pack. Yes, it's drums that knock, volume 9 from decap, magic warm brassy kick. This kick pretty much has everything that I need for this kind of beat. It has a little bit of a top end because of the saturation and stuff. It has a warm, smooth low end, and it's not too long in length. Nothing really out of ordinary when it comes to the pattern. It's pretty much a standard trap pattern, and we've got this 1 2 3 4 countdown at the end of each 8 bar, which has 2 different kinds of open hats, one on the kicks and one in the gaps. The open hat on the kick itself, I made it shorter than it was. I messed with the mule knob to make it sound a little bit weird, panned it to the left a little, not that important. The other open hat is panned to the right, so they kind of respond to each other. And we've got the normal hats playing on top of the kick in the middle. We've got the percussion, which in the context of the beat, you might not hear as much. It adds that subtle texture and bounce in between the melodies and the 808. Let's check out the 808 sound and pattern. I've picked the Cymatics 808, sounds like this. Let me solo the 808 and the drums. Here's how the pattern looks like. You can see the slide notes. How you create them is you double click on a note and you turn on either slide or portamento. Very minor differences when it comes to 808s at least. Or you can just like turn on the slide button up here, and whatever note that you make will be a slide note. Here we have 1 slide down and 2 slides up. And here we've got 3 slides down. It's the same amount of notes and length, just goes from up to down. Last time it went from down to up. What I do to make my 808s a little bit unique is I duplicate the 808, as you can see. It's the same sample, number 2. Send it to a different mixer channel. I copy the pattern. You can see it down here, 808 sub, which is the one we just heard, and 808 top, which I'm going to demonstrate now. So here's what it sounds like on its own. It's very subtle and you don't hear it, you kind of feel it in the atmosphere of the beat. So it has an EQ to filter out all the loads. We don't want that for this one. I've done it to about 700 Hertz this time for this particular beat. Sometimes I do it to about 400. Then we've got a PS22 from Waves. You can use pretty much any plugin that allows you to widen your sound and gives you a little bit of control over what frequency gets widened. Originally it's on 0, and now I put it on 1.5. Like so it's pretty wide. The frequency is on 16K. Actually, the starting point preset that I'm using is Pensado mono to wide under Dave Pensado. Then I'm sending this wide pitched duplicate 808 to a sidechain reverb and delay, which in this case is only reverb, I believe. I'm using Luxverb, which is a stock FL Studio plugin. It's not available in Producer Edition, but it's available in Signature and All Plugins bundle. Inside the plugin, I'm choosing Delayed Glow Octave Up preset and tweaking the decay, high cut and low cut a bit, adjusting my pre-delay a bit, and we get this spatial sound from it. Together with the drums and the main 808. You kind of hear the atmosphere being added in the gaps and on the long 808 notes. I also picked another 808 sample that sounds like this from Flex. This is going through the same channel, so the same chain and delay, and I copied the same pattern onto it. I'm only using it for this section here, and it sounds like this on its own. And together. Just a technique that a couple of years ago I was like, what happens if I do this? I tried it, I liked it, and sometimes I use it. Doesn't work for every scenario. So by this point, we have our intro, we have our main melody, drums, and 808. So the main structure of our beat is ready. At this point, I was looking for another loop to create this kind of chops for the countdown section at the end of every 8 bars. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And those chops sound like this. The original loop for this was this. You can see that I timed it to the tempo of my project, again on stretch mode, and I pitched it down 100 cents. I left click on the top left of the sample, went under chops, time based, and I did every beat, I believe, at the time, deleted the ones that I didn't want, added some fade so we don't get clicks, and now we've got this. This is a hard word that's gonna turn my tongue. It adds some irregularities. Feel like my tongue now has some 808 slides. Moving on, the second section of our chorus, because it's 16 bars of chorus, right? The second 8 bars needed something else because I just don't like things that stay the same for a long time. I have to add something new. And that something new could be as simple as this. Literally 2 notes, 2 different sounds, 2 different octaves. And on top of the beat, you get that sort of a response in the gaps. There's an automation down here for this sound, which is the glitch plugin. So mixer channel 9. First in the chain, we've got decapitator. Without that, we have this. Very thin. You add decapitator, you get... I have my punish mode on, drive, and then mixing it pretty much 100% in. Second, we've got echo rec, which adds kind of a slap delay. And lastly, we've got glitch, and I'm only using lo-fi for these 2 sections, automating it in, because if you don't automate it out, it just keeps adding fuzz for some reason. It's because of the plugin itself. And together, you hear those lo-fi glitch sounds, right? That's pretty much everything we've got for the hook. I designed this transition synth from some plugin, I don't remember, but I only kept the audio. I just hold, I think, an octave D sharp note. For the verse, I'm taking out the kicks, keeping the snare, but without its layers and ghost notes, keeping the percussion, keeping our 808, and I added this new plug sound, which pretty much plays the same melody. It sounds like this. The plugin I use for this is Nexus. Is it 2 layers or 1? It's 1 layer. So I'm only using Underwater Kingdom from Trance Universe pack inside Nexus 3. The verse starts like that, and in the second section I add some counter melodies, which I'll show you, and we've got the hats back. So let's listen to that. Here's our counter melody. The sound is from Serum 2, designed by Sam Smyers. It's actually a Rufus Du Sol sound, which weirdly I'm using in the trap beats. Here's how the counter melody looks like. It just creates some variety for the second section of the verse. For our 8 bars of pre-chorus, we drop back to the low-pitched main melody from the intro. We also add a low-pitched response of these beeps. So we had them in the chorus. Now we have them pitched down in the pre-chorus. And to add some extra pizzazz, we add some transition synth. It's from the Legend Hans Zimmer plugin, which I really, really love, and I use it for a variety of genres. Here's what it sounds like on its own. I'm slowly automating. The filter cutoff of the plugin, which opens up like so. Second chorus has 1 extra layer of percussion, which sounds like this. Which, funnily enough, in the context, it sounds like someone saying woo, woo, woo. And we also have this snare rolls, simple. And nothing extra for this one just yet. If we go to the second verse, you can actually see the structure, right? So we've got 16 bars of chorus, 16 bars of verse, 8 bars of pre-chorus, and repeat. 16 bars chorus, 16 bar verse, 8 bar pre-chorus, and the last chorus. So it's a very typical, simple structure for rappers to write to. Our second verse, just a little bit of a difference in the percussion and the style that we bring the drums in. Again, no kick at the start. We've got a different percussion in the context. By the way, one thing I forgot to mention is that our 808 pattern for the verse is a little bit different to how we got it for the chorus. It's a bit simpler and with longer notes. For the second half of our second verse, we add some extra percussion. Our second pre-chorus has the kick, has the 808s, but chopped up, and it's got an extra synth counter melody that we didn't have in the entire beat so far, and it sounds like this. And the sound is going to the same chain as our main melody, but we've got the first growth speed off, Murder Melodies off, it's going through Transporter, second growth speed, which adds the tape stop, and the EQ. The sound itself is from Pneuma Pro, a free plugin which I already made a full video about and added the download link for you guys if you like to download that. It's a great plugin for all kinds of techno, trance, acid, psytrance, those kind of sounds, but I always love to bring sounds from different genres into different genres. And we got that sound from there. I'll link the video up top if you want to watch that and download the plugin. We got a snare roll here. So our pre-chorus sounds like this, going into the last chorus with minor tweaks. What we've got extra here is a second layer of hi-hats. It's busier than the original one. More rolls. And we've got this little snare roll section. And that's pretty much it. How you go from an idea, from a loop, build around it, and you get a full beat that is completely your own and doesn't have too much of a similarity to what that original loop was. A lot of these techniques can be applied to other loops, samples, and other genres even, to create a unique sound of your own from what already exists out there. If you enjoy watching this kind of videos of me breaking down my projects, whether it's beats or finished music in different genres, just let me know in the comments and show me that you like it by liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and that way I'll know that this is the kind of content that you want to see more on this channel. Thank you so much for watching the video all the way through. Here's the video that I think you will enjoy watching next. See you in the next one.